Whom the Gods Fear, by Wdowski. Chapter 4. Ms. Stern burst into the meeting already in session. Why wasn't I informed of this meeting? Glenn cringed at her high-pitched nasal screech. To everyone's relief, she stopped yelling and instead stood erect, arms crossed, her designer Italian heels tapping out the seconds until someone answered. "I am waiting," she screeched again. "I am very sorry, Miss Stern." Landers stood up. "That is Ambassador Stern, you ignorant peon." "Yes, of course, Ambassador Stern." "It was my oversight," he lied, having followed Glenn's orders not to invite her. "This is a navigational meeting. I didn't think it would be of any interest to you." "It is your mistake, you half-witted plebe. I am interested in all meetings related to this mission." She wedged herself between Captain Rubel and his first officer on the opposite side of the oval conference table from Glenn and immediately ordered an assistant to fetch her green tea. The other assistant was forced to stand against the wall in the tight room. Once the tea arrived, the meeting resumed. The lights dimmed and a holographic star chart hovered above the table, the Venture's course from Earth to Shing 4 highlighted in red. "Have you been able to contact the Shingnese since they cut off relations?" Dr. Verne, the ship's astrophysicist, asked in his slight French accent. "They may know of natural anomalies in their region of space." "Are you suggesting the crew was sucked into a wormhole while the ship remained intact?" Dr. Hogan, the xenobiologist, asked skeptically. Glenn found the Euro-Asian, 34-year-old, Dr. Hogan attractive in a way that he could not put his finger on. She was no great beauty like Rebecca, who more closely resembled the women he had been with. Dr. Hogan was no supermodel, or even a model. She was petite and geeky-looking. Unlike Rebecca's slim hourglass figure, her body was shaped more like a bowling pin with bow legs. "We have only been in deep space for a decade. We don't know what's out there," he defended. "With all due respect, Dr. Verne, I doubt cosmic phenomena explain the Venture returning empty," Dr. Hogan replied calmly. "Whatever happened suggests intelligence, either the Shingnese or another race we haven't encountered. Some kind of unknown radiation so intense it vaporized the crew," Verne suggested. "That left no trace of radioactivity and didn't damage the ship?" Hogan countered. "As I said, unknown." "I think it's more likely the Shingnese took the cargo, diamonds, and crew than some unknown force," Granite added. "Then why not take the whole ship with its steam mass generator and hyper-engines?" Hogan asked. "Because if the ship never returned, we would prepare for war," Granite answered. "And we are now preparing for war because of militant meatheads in our military," Rebecca finally entered the conversation. "The Shingnese are peace-loving, unlike us." "You know they are peace-loving, based on what facts?" Granite challenged her. "Your feelings." "They haven't had a war on their home world in over 3 centuries. We just had World War III in the middle of this century." "Their first encounter with us was with warships," Glenn pointed out. "Even the Venture was unarmed, yet all of their ships have been crewed by their warrior class. Where do you get your facts?" "The absence of war could mean a repressive regime," Dr. Hogan added. "North Korea hasn't fought a war since the 1950s, but it isn't peace-loving. A militarized regime often points their weapons inward at their own people." "The Shingnese know our technology is only decades ahead of theirs," Granite said. "They may be testing our resolve. The crew could be under interrogation right now." "If we go looking for a fight, we will find one," Rebecca snapped. "This is a time for diplomacy, not testosterone-fueled aggression." "Meanwhile, the Shingnese could be stalling to extract our hyperdrive technology," Captain Mahan calmly observed. His blonde hair, chiseled jaw, and piercing blue eyes made him look more suited for a Nazi stormtrooper uniform than his dress blue Stellar Marine uniform. "Oh, great!" Rebecca screeched. "Why not launch a preemptive strike? Just because they look different doesn't make them monsters." "Who said anything about monsters?" Captain Mahan replied, baffled. In spite of her father's political pull, Glenn still did not understand how anyone in their right mind could assign Rebecca Stern as a diplomat. "I don't believe the captain suggested hostility," Granite said, eyeing Stern. "History has proven that when an unethical enemy sees weakness, they will strike. We hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. The Shingnese are intelligent. They have no interest in war," Rebecca said, lowering her voice slightly. Glenn closed his eyes, considering. Then he spoke. I agree with Rebecca that if we go looking for a fight, we will find one. But I also agree with Commander Granite that we must be prepared for the worst. If the Shingnese have aggressive intentions, we need to show them that any conflict with us will not be worth the cost. He turned to Dr. Verne. To answer your question, we have had no contact with the Shingnese since they broke relations. If they know anything about cosmic anomalies, we have no way of asking. Understood, Verne replied, still shaken from Stern's outbursts. We must decide whether to go directly to the Smith system or first attempt to re-establish contact with the Shingnese, Glenn said. We must go to Shing 4 immediately, Rebecca insisted. For time, agreeing with Rebecca Granite supported her position. We need to ensure they do not have belligerent intentions. Captain Mahan nodded in agreement. But the Smith system is where they went off course, Verne pointed out. 2 Earth-sized moons in the Goldilocks zone. Who knows what forces are at play there? The original mission was to explore those moons, Hogan added. Yet, I agree with Commander Granite that re-establishing contact with the Shingnese is vital. Glenn, unaware, was smiling at Hogan as she spoke. He found her voice, even when she was arguing with the gray-haired Dr. Verne, sweet to his ears. Noticing his unconscious smile towards her, she smiled in return. Realizing what he was doing, Glenn stopped his smiling. Yes, thank you, Dr. Hogan. So we all mostly agree we should go to the Shing system first. As much as I think our answers are in the Smith system, diplomacy must come first, Verne agreed. Lay in a course for Shing 4, Captain. Glenn ordered the tall, red and gray-haired ship's captain. Those under his command referred to him as Old Fire and Ice, which oddly also described Rubel's command style. Aye, Mr. Yeager, Captain Rubel replied in his Welsh accent. As the others left, Granite lingered. Have you been able to contact the Shingnese at all? No. Even my personal contacts won't respond. Glenn sighed. Rebecca assumes the best about them, but she's as naive as she is abrasive. I fear Ambassador Stern may be a major liability to this mission, Granite warned.